When it comes to increasing your strength in your upper body and even increasing the muscle as well, you can't deny the bench press. So what I'm going to do is show you how we teach the bench press and all the cues that will help you as well. Let's get started. So when it comes to the bench press, the first thing that you need to do is make sure you're set up in the correct position. We always make sure as a rule of thumb to get everyone to start with their eyes directly under the barbell. Now this is exactly where we want it to be. A very common mistake that I see everyone do is set themselves to have their chin or their throat underneath the barbell. What this does is it makes it very hard for unracking. So, as a beginner stage, always make sure your eyes are directly under the barbell. From there, you're going to unrack the bar and you're going to make sure that you can pop it to be on the top of your chest. So that's two motions. First you push it off and then you pull it down to the top of your chest. Make sure that this is two distinct movements. Now the next thing that we're going to look at is actually how we pop off that bar from the hooks. You need to make sure that your rack height is correct. If you can, always make sure you remember the rack height. This is no different from your squat. You want to make sure that you can control the controllable. So have a look at how I pop off from the racks and it just very, very closely clips off. This is the best way to do it so you can make sure that your back is nice and tight. Now if you have it too low, you end up being a bit of a muppet like this and you end up pressing it and it becomes half a movement in itself, and you can imagine how unsafe this will be once the bar is loaded. Now when your bar is actually going to be loaded and you want to make sure that you're bench pressing, your grip is going to be the next position. This is equivalent to your squat stance. When you bench press, it will take a little bit of time to find out where you are. Now this is what happens when your bench press happens to be too narrow. Maybe a little bit more over exaggerated, but you can see how my elbows are flared way too much. This can cause a lot of irritation throughout your wrists and also your elbows if you prolong this for way too long or overload it. Experiment with a few grips and try and go with the one that's not too narrow nor too wide. Try and give it a go, see what hurts, and don't worry about the weight that you're pressing just yet. Finding your right grip does take time, but once you get it, you'll be able to progress nice and far. Now when it comes to grips, there's the close grip variation and also the wide grip variations. My standard grip is with my pointer finger on the ring. If I were to go into a close grip position, I would only make the change to be 2 fingers closer. I find this to be the most beneficial and has helped me get the most progress in my main bench press. If I wanted to go for any wider positions, once again I use the same rule of thumb to only use 2 fingers wider. Now just be careful not to make this too wide or it can cause some aggravation.